especially because I see that from my demographics. A lot of my Cobra babies are not babies anymore. You guys are like actual like working Gen Z now, so we gotta protect the coin, and I figured these videos would be very helpful. Hey there, my handsome and pretty little Cobras, and welcome back to the Cobra's Nest. For those of you who are new, my name is Mignon Cobra and I make minimalism videos. So as some of you guys have seen from like my haul videos and even just some of the things that I've said in my videos, you guys know that my income level is definitely a lot higher than it ever has been in the past, and that has presented itself in new obstacles in my shopping. Whereas before in my minimalism journey, I didn't buy a lot of things out of principle, and two, out of like financial constraints. That's not the case anymore. So I feel like I wanted to bring to the table what it's like now to finally be in a place where I could buy whatever I wanted, but I don't want to, just because I don't think that being, you know, super materialistic is the way to go. I do think you should be materialistic. You should enjoy material abundance to know that that's actually not the most important thing in life. So I just wanted to share that with you guys. What are some of my intentional shopping tips now that I could buy everything that I want, but I don't think that that's healthy. So without further ado, let's get into the video. Let's go. Woo. Okay, so number one, make a list. I still make lists, even though I could definitely buy a lot more than I ever have in the past. I don't know, it actually ended up turning out to be a really good habit that I actually love. So if I find something in the store that I like, I'll put it on my like little wish list and then I'll sleep on it. For the most part, since most of like my desires are pretty intentional, I've been pretty good about knowing if I'm gonna sleep on it and still buy it in the end. But it is nice to have that little buffer. I do find that sometimes, not as often, I usually do end up buying it, but sometimes some items I really think, actually, I slept on it, I don't really want it anymore, and so I just cross it off, which is really nice. And I think that's the whole point of the list, is just to kind of act as like a little mini buffer. If you sleep on it, you might realize maybe not everything that you wanted is something that you wanted, so I think having a list can definitely be very useful. You can just keep it on your phone, just type it in. It doesn't have to be anything complicated. That way it's always on you when you're at the mall or when you're at home. Okay, number two, this brings me to the next point, which is to sleep on it. Now that I finally have purchasing power, I need harder brakes. Before, like when driving a car, if that makes any sense, I need a harder brake. Before, I really couldn't buy things unless I really justified it. I no longer need to justify things. I can just buy whatever I want. So I've had to rely on sleeping on it. If I sleep on it for like a week or two and I still feel like, yes, I still want it, I give myself permission to buy it. Sometimes though, either it sells out, lucky for me, I don't have to buy it anymore, or two, I might find I didn't really want it in the first place, or I was just trying to, you know, chase a trend. So this has been really good to just sleep on it. I didn't need to sleep on things before, but now I can, and it's actually pretty helpful. Okay, number three, is it your color? So ever since I kind of quit the extreme minimalism beige aesthetic, I've introduced more colorways into my colors. I mean, it's nothing fancy, it's nothing spicy. It's still neutrals. For most people, I still haven't really ventured out. There's still no color. Asking myself like, will this kind of match, has helped a lot, because sometimes I might be like buying more neutrals than I think is appropriate. Like gray is a flattering shade on me because I am a cool tone. I don't personally like gray. It's not a color I think is very fantastic, which is interesting because you'd think as a minimalist I would love gray, but I don't like the color gray. So sometimes I might find something that like I wish it was in black, but they have it in gray. It's still like a minimalist vibe, so I might buy it. Whereas before I never had that issue. If it wasn't beige, I didn't buy it. Now I'm like, oh, I have to ask myself, is this your color? And that helps a lot. I still like to buy creams and beiges and whites and blacks. No grays. I told myself no grays, we're not doing that. And that's helped a lot. Okay, number four. Now I have to kind of ask myself, is this a trend or is this a classic? I don't know. I think that with my minimalism break, I've been experimenting a lot, and so I'm still kind of in experimental phase in my life where sometimes I'm not really sure if something's a trend or is this like classic or is this even really my taste. So that is something that I'm still getting comfortable with, but it is a very useful question that I ask myself. When I find something that's like super cute, I try to ask myself, okay, like I understand that it might be trendy or it is a trend, but is it classic enough that you could still feel comfortable wearing this after the trend is gone? Luckily, I am older, I am in my 30s, and I am a minimalist, so whether things are out of style or in trend doesn't faze me as much. I'll wear something that's 3 seasons old. Like I didn't jump onto the UGG trend till like I think a couple weeks. The UGG trend was out by the time I got to it, and I was like, that is fine with me. So I don't mind, but I do have to ask myself these questions now. Like, Nat, think a little. Is this a classic or is this a trend? Okay, number 5, is it a duplicate? So I finally have an abundance of things. I actually have to start asking myself these type of questions, like, is it a duplicate? And I've made my peace with having duplicates. If you guys have been a follower of my channel for some time, you guys know that I have talked about I really hated the duplicate rule. Then I came to a place where I was like, I kind of understand the duplicate rule. Having a bunch of duplicates suck. But now that is a question I ask myself, is it a duplicate I could tolerate? And if it's a duplicate I can't tolerate, then I tell myself I really don't need it. A good example of this is I love mugs. I don't know what it is. I am a mug lover. So I've gotten to the place where it's like, okay, you have enough white mugs. I'm very strict. I only want white as a mug. But then I have like 7 white mugs. So it's like, okay, I understand you love yourself a minimalist white mug vibe, but you don't need another white mug. So I don't know if that could help anybody else out, but that has definitely helped me to put the brakes on like, no more white mugs. Okay, number 6, is this a want or a need? So I am finally operating from a place of everything is just a want now. I don't have any needs anymore. All my needs are covered. I have more than enough clothes. I have more than enough food. Shelter is paid for. Like, I don't even have to ever worry about rent. I don't even have to worry about rent just because my income is so high. So my basic needs are covered. So now, since everything is a need, I don't really ask myself this question per se, like, is this a need or is this a want? None of it are needs. It's all just wants. So I kind of ask myself, does this like really improve my quality of life for the amount of money that I'm paying? And if I feel like yes, it does, then I buy it. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay now with everything being a need, that I accept that privilege in my life. I used to feel ashamed of that because I have operated from a needs only basis. I used my minimalism to train myself to feel abundance in the needs level, but I'm like, I don't want to set that kind of example for my Cobra babies. I want you guys to live in abundance, so I'll be the one to set an example, or even just for my own self's sake. Living from a place of scarcity and only operating on a needs only basis just sucked, if I'll be completely honest. So I'm okay with them being wants. I just ask myself, like, how much of a want is this? And then number 7, does this suit your body type? So that is actually a very interesting question. For the longest time, you guys have seen that I have worn oversized clothing, and prior to that, I used to wear skin tight clothes. So now that I've kind of like ventured out and tried some new styles, I've had to kind of reacquaint myself with dressing for my body type, which is not something that I ever really had an issue with. When you wear oversized clothing, that was never an issue. I mean, that was the whole point in the first place. I was recovering from an eating disorder. I didn't want to dress for my body type. I didn't want to think about my body. But now that I'm in a really healthy place and I do wear a lot more like fitted clothing, as you guys can see, like the type of aesthetic that I wear, I had to ask myself, like, does that suit my body type? I am very curvy, as you guys have seen on my Instagram, so certain trends that look great on very like straight shaped body types are not maybe necessarily for me, and I'm okay with that. Not from a place of like, you can't dress like that because that's not your body type, but just asking myself, like, if you were to wear that, would you feel comfortable? And sometimes, no, I don't really feel comfortable wearing that. A good example of that is a romper trend. It didn't look very flattering on me. It didn't matter how many different types I tried. Like, I tried the Aritzia TNA one and the Wilfred and then the Garage, and they just didn't really like, I didn't feel like $1,000,000, and so that's how I know that it's not for me. I didn't feel like $1,000,000, so I was like, we're just not going to do it. And that has helped me a lot. It has definitely helped me avoid certain purchases where it's like, yeah, it's cute on the people I follow on Instagram, but it's not really for me, and that's okay. I've been a minimalist for so long that some of these things, they don't really faze me, but it's more so because of my purchasing power that I have to be a little bit more intentional than I ever have been in the past, because I didn't have these kinds of constraints, but now I do. So, or I used to have different types of financial constraints that I don't have anymore. So I definitely have to be a lot more intentional, and I thought I'd share that with you guys. So I hope that these intentional shopping tips could have been helpful for anyone else, especially because I see that from my demographics. A lot of my Cobra babies are not babies anymore. You guys are like actual like working Gen Z now. So we got to protect the coin, and I figured these videos would be very helpful. So yeah, hope you guys enjoy the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching. Bye.